redesigning my website right now. So right now it has like a 1970s rainbow across the top of it. I'm sure this getting me a lot of work.
That's pretty.
Right. It's very not professional at all. That seems to be the look I was going for. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Five Dumb Things, episode 25. I am your co-host, Darren J. Gendron, and with me, a made-to-order side of chaos, Brandon J. Carr.
That's right. I'm fresh to order with all the toppings and fixins you want.
Have it your chaotic way.
Indeed.
At Brandon J. Carr now. I say chaos because that's what today was. Today was very chaotic. We lost our guest judge because his phone got stolen about 90 minutes ago. That's he was going to call in, use his phone. He was getting ready to host a show as well. So that's the fun of LA hosting, guys. So to Jay, we know you're obviously listening to this. So you get your phone, you find out what's going on with that, get cast as a supervillain, and then probably get too busy to do our show in the meantime. So that's the plan. Until then, we are going to have chaos, just pure chaos, as our guest judge tonight. I definitely forgot to load that up, so let me get that started and ready to go. We're going to have the infamous Google coin flip again. We decided, is the Google coin flip, is it biased? And is it biased in favor of me yet?
Well, seeing as how we still don't know what is winning or losing on this show, it is biased in one direction. I don't know which.
Huh. I'll assume it's in my favor because I keep using it. That's the only logical explanation for me.
That could be it. Maybe next time we need chaos, we can switch to some gaming dice.
Some just actual dice and like zoom in on it?
Yeah.
That's a terrible idea.
It really is.
We'll do it.
All right.
Next time we have a last second judge flake. I don't want to say flake. Like the dude got his phone robbed from him. Like he was making every effort that he could to make the podcast as well as a show. I think he's in Pasadena tonight, or no, he's in Hollywood tonight. He's got a pretty big, nice show that he's hosting. So, and he was still making time for the Five Dumb Things podcast. So I am no way saying that was a flake, but chaos strikes us as it often does. And so we'll let chaos judge us now because it's judgy that way. What is it judging us on? Well, here's what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to give you things that we think are dumb in movies, television, internet, gaming, and etc. And we're going to make our cases. Normally at this point, the guest judge would just say, why did I agree to come on this show? This is so stupid. And like, yes, that's the point. It's dumb. Yeah. So they would normally pick what is dumb. In this case, we're just going to have a Google coin flip suddenly give us closure on this one. And what's weird is we never question the coin.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that?
Well,
I mean, definitely question judges' opinions.
Well, sure.
Like if it's a human element in there, I'm like, no, that's wrong. The completely unlistening coin flip, I never disagree with. I'm like, well, coin is right. That's got to be right.
Well, what are you going to do? Convince it to change its mind?
Which you could just by flipping it again.
That's true.
There's like a 50-50 chance that it will change its mind at that point. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to set 5 minutes on the clock, and I'm going to set that up with my handy-dandy stopwatch there, and I'm going to start the clock on mine because I'm going to talk about something very topical in the movies department. Did you sneak a peek and check which movie I picked this week?
I did, and I'm a little confused because I feel like we covered this already.
We did cover this already. I'm pretty sure you covered this one. Like,
I did.
You'd already seen it. Batman versus Superman, guys. We're going super topical right now. No, what happened is that my sister may have loaned me her copy recently under the guise of like, you really probably should eventually see this movie. Like it is a part of pop culture, so go check it out. And I hate my sister right now. Like she's in trouble. She's in the doghouse for she didn't make me watch that. It's a weird movie because the moment you put it in, you make yourself watch it. Like it's like I just don't want to watch it, and I went with I got to give myself a test because people were talking about how good the extended cut was.
Right, I was going to ask.
That supposedly makes things better, and I knew that, so I'm like, okay, yeah, let's watch it. It started off extremely clunky. So you got like the origin of Batman, because we needed that. We needed that in film.
Right.
I'm just look. There's some characters out there, guys. Hollywood, listen. Batman, Superman, Spider-Man. Stop giving us their origins. Just never again. We know those. They've been done. Like, I get that it's a really known part about them, but that doesn't make it interesting. Like, if that's the most known thing about them, just skip it and do something new.
I don't think there's been anyone in cinematic history who's been murdered as many times as Thomas and Martha Wayne.
Well, no, Uncle Ben.
I don't know. We've only seen 2 Uncle Bens die. We've seen a lot of Thomas and Martha Waynes die.
You're right. Yeah. Okay. I'll give you. But here's the thing. Burt War, 66 Batman. Did we ever see Thomas and Martha Wayne?
Nope. And because I talked about this before, just with friend groups, not on the show, but that is one of the only iterations of Batman where they didn't go into the origin. They did mention in 1 or 2 episodes that his parents had died.
Yeah.
And that's it. It was just, here's Batman.
Didn't slow down the story at all. You didn't need it. It's just go tell the story. I did this. This is one thing that I haven't heard enough people complaining about, so I felt the need. This is what actually pushed me over the edge. Spoilers if you really need to protect your sanctity of this movie.
No one cares.
It's how Doomsday is made. It's Lex Luthor making this hybrid between his DNA and General Zod's DNA. I heard that part. I wasn't that bothered by it until I saw them do it on the screen, and I was like, God damn it. Because they do it with the Kryptonian ship. He hacks into it. He basically carjacks Kryptonian technology. That's the extent of the genius of Lex Luthor. Is that they got everything wrong with Lex Luthor. Like, I knew they had everything wrong with Superman. That made sense. Like, you don't call a super careless, you don't have a serial killer saying it's a lovely day in the neighborhood and pretend that's Mr. Rogers. Like, that's, there was very, like, yes, the serial killer is wearing a sweater too, if it makes you feel better, and he makes little puppets out of them. That's still not a good Mr. Rogers representation.
Right.
With Lex Luthor, like, he's humanity, but like narcissistic. He is super confident, very calm, very calculating. We have not had a correct movie Lex Luthor. Even though I love the Kevin Spacey version.
I gotta say, that's the closest.
It's nice, but it's Gene Hackman is what he's doing. He's doing Gene Hackman Lex Luthor, and that's not still Lex Luthor. Like, you need that was something that the Dini and Tim got dead on with their Adventures of Superman and later Justice League. A very calm, obsessed Luthor. He is a guy that everybody believes would be able to go and cure cancer if it wasn't for Superman showing up. Which, by the way, is 100% bullshit. He will tell you that he would have cured cancer if Superman hadn't showed up. But Lex Luthor at his core would still have just done a giant bank heist instead and tried to rule the world instead. That's his core. Like, he is supposedly this great humanitarian, but really he's pissed off because he can't rule the world. That's the definition of Lex Luthor.
And this is a guy that in the DC Comics universe is elected president because he is trusted and because he is seen as a strong figure, which Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor, no, he's not going to get elected president.
He's neurotic, and he's Jesse Eisenberg. Like,
right.
The thing is, no, that's a discredit Jesse Eisenberg, because if you let him actually just be goddamn Lex Luthor, like the grimacing, calm, cold Luthor that you get at the very end of the movie, if you gave me that Luthor the entire time, if you had him not stealing Kryptonian technology, if you also didn't screw up Doomsday's origin, like, it's not that hard of an origin. But the whole thing,
everything has to tie together. Everything has to spawn from everything else to keep it grounded, to keep it realistic.
I also like how they made such a big deal at the end of Man of Steel that Superman, he had to kill General Zod so that he would learn that murdering is bad.
Mm-hmm.
And the very next movie, the next thing he does is he murders. He not only murders, but he murders General Zod again. It's just like, look, I know murdering is bad, but this Zod, I just got to murder him as many times as possible. Like, he's the character. Oh, and by the way, this is also another case of the supervillain of the movie stating that the heroes are going to do something, and then the heroes doing it without question.
Yeah,
that we're 2 for 2 on that, and that's a huge problem. They are superheroes; they do the impossible. So no, the fact that I had to sit through that, I believe that runtime was 7 hours. I say that because I watched it. I got all the way to the end-ish. I thought it was the end, and I just stopped paying attention. And I looked up 20 minutes later. I was like, "Oh crap, this is still going." I watched it again. Because I'm an idiot. I couldn't just fast forward to that one part. Like, I was like, I'm pretty, because I faded in and out when I was watching it the first time. So I was like, I know I missed things. I know I missed things.
Go back.
So I went back, I rewatched it, and at the exact same point in the story, I gave up on it, walked out of the room, and then I was like, oh, geez, I was watching that. So I ran back in, tried to watch it. One of my favorite observations about that movie, too, is that Jeff May, a comedian, pointed out that he loves the fact that somebody at Lex Luthor Corporation, a graphic designer, bothered to make all the logos for these metahumans.
Oh, yeah.
Just so that the file looked really nice. So that his secret file looked pretty. Like, that was bizarre. You have a movie that you want to talk about that I'm curious as to why you think is dumb.
All right.
You want to fight about it? Let's fight.
I don't. And actually, I think you'll probably agree with me on my point of dumbness. And what I want to talk about is The Little Prince, which popped up on Netflix recently. I believe it was a French adaptation that was done. And it's actually multi-layered because it's not a strict adaptation of the book, but it's actually a whole new story wrapped around the book itself. So you've got the story of this girl who's moved to a new town. She's going to this fancy school. She doesn't feel really a part of things. She has a wacky, crazy neighbor who is the sweetest old man character that you'll see on film this year, probably. And he describes the adventures that he had as the aviator who met the Little Prince. And it takes place in 2 different types of storytelling. And one is traditional CG animation, which is it was very stylized. It was very nice looking. It was very clean. And then anytime they went into the world of the Little Prince, it was all done in stop motion. And not just stop motion, but everything was made of paper. And including the figures, which look like they're sculpted, but they're not. It's all paper mache on armature, and all of the backgrounds and all the characters. And it's got this wonderful, fantastical feel to it. I really enjoyed it. Both my kids loved it. When my son and I watched it the first time, we both we looked at each other at one point, and we were both a little wet in the eyes, and we were like, all right, cool, we're on the same page here. Because it has to do with reveling in being yourself and reaching for things that maybe other people say you can't. Actually doing impossible things like a superhero should. It's really wonderful. And so there was a whole situation dealing with this movie because it was supposed to be distributed in theaters in the United States by, I want to say, Warner Brothers. I forgot to look this up. And more or less at the last minute, they dropped their distribution. And Netflix ran over and they were like, oh, we got it, which is good because we got to see it. But we missed an opportunity to see something really incredible on the big screen, I think. Especially if it had been presented in 3D, because some of the sequences and the way that they were built, and a lot having to do with stars and with just lots of particles and things going around, I think it would have been a truly breathtaking movie theater experience, which unfortunately we did not get to see because of, who knows, whatever weird business decision went into pulling the distribution. So we're fortunate in that we got to see it at all via Netflix. And because it came out on Netflix first, I've seen it a few times at this point. My 4-year-old is very into it, so she's watched it several times. and so I haven't watched it all the way through since the first 2 viewings that I sat through. But I like even just seeing the little pieces of it that I catch here and there because it's so beautiful. And the overall story is very compelling, and it keeps, filling me with wonder. But the fact that I didn't get to see it on the big screen, and that most of us, I think there may have been a limited engagement, but most of us didn't get to see it on the big screen, and that is what's dumb.
I was going to say Paramount is the one that...
Paramount. Sorry, Warner Brothers.
And 1 week before it was scheduled to release, they were the ones that dropped it. To be fair, I just spent 5 minutes crapping on Warner Brothers, so it's not exactly like they're not without sin after, seriously. Just... They killed Jimmy Olsen for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah, within the first, without even ever giving him a name.
I'm Jimmy Olsen, CIA agent. Wait, what? No, that's not even close to Jimmy Olsen.
Well, let me ask you this: in the extended version, do they at least give him a name?
Yeah, no, so they make it just absolutely positive, and the only thing that I think they really add there is that he just directly identifies himself as Jimmy Olsen, has camera, has bullet.
Yeah, theatrical cut. There's no mention of his name.
Yeah,
and the only reason you knew it was Jimmy Olsen is because it's in the end credits, and because Zack Snyder said he thought it would be fun.
A fun little Easter egg.
Yeah, I shot Jimmy Olsen, Superman's pal.
I'm just still bitter about it. It's just
I know.
Okay, but I'm not seeing any record of Little Prince being limited engagement. Okay. I was actually trying to figure out is it Oscar eligible is now the question.
That is a good question. I would think not, because I don't think Netflix productions are considered Oscar eligible.
Where was Beast of No Nation? Did they do that for Emmys or?
I don't remember. I think Beast of No Nation actually was eligible for Oscar.
Yeah, so I think it still is Oscar eligible. They might do get a bunch of screens at the last minute and just they only have to do a few screens in LA and a few in New York for it to count. And I could see Netflix doing that just to push Oscars around and basically say, hey, can we get considered for awards since we already do that on the TV side?
Yeah, it was nominated for a Golden Globe. For Idris Elba, and
we're talking Beasts.
Yeah, Beast of No Nation. Sorry, and then the Screen Actors Guild Award for several of the actors, but I don't see Oscars.
Okay, it's going to take Hollywood a while to figure that part out. But let's screen share Chaos. Hello, Chaos. How are you doing? Is there still thunderclouds for you right now?
It's actually cleared up a little bit.
So Chaos is listening. It's just it's not angry right now.
Right.
Let's see, what do we got? We got heads and tails. I'm gonna go tails for Batman versus Superman being dumb. There's no judgment other than just I'm saying this movie is dumb. I know we've probably put that movie up in the exact same way. And you're saying that Paramount is dumb for screwing up the distribution of what? Seriously, Paramount, when's the last big win that they've had? Okay. All right, let's flip this. Flipping. Tails! Batman versus Superman is dumb, ladies and gentlemen. It is dumb. It is so dumb. I'm going to write this. This is normally where I use the banter with the guest to hide the fact that I'm typing something in.
That's right. You can talk to me.
I could. Oh, yeah.
Paramount's last big entrance into the box office scene, Ben-Hur.
No, big.
Yeah, I know. It's a big budget
box office scene.
Yeah, that was huge. So Paramount is probably going to lose about $100 million
on Ben-Hur alone. They had money on the table with the Little Prince. That is just catastrophic. We might see the end of Paramount this year.
Yikes!
I don't
know. They must have something, because Paramount's got, what have they got? They've got the Star Trek franchise. Right?
Yeah, the Star Trek franchise that they're putting in online instead of on CBS.
Right, but they've got the movies, and beyond did pretty well.
Yeah, but how much is left in that franchise?
They've already working on the next one. But if this new film series follows the every other film sucks precedent set by the original film series, then the next one might be as bad as the second one. I didn't like Into Darkness.
Paramount has Transformers.
Oh, yeah. And the next one is all about the Knights of the Round Table.
Okay. They have Star Trek Mission Impossible.
Mm.
They also have Tom Clancy in their thing.
That pops up from time to time,
yeah.
Sure.
They've lost Paranormal Activity. Like, that one wrapped up, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, and then I'm reading this. It's saying G.I. Joe, World War Z, Anchorman. Anchorman's a dead thing.
Oh, yeah, that's over.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They have that. They have Friday the 13th. They wanted Tintin to be a deal. That didn't work. They have Terminator, which nope. That one didn't work. And this is old material, so they're also pointing out that they have the Rock and Hercules. Nope. No, they don't. The Rock is in every other movie for the next 50 years, but I don't know if he's ever going back to Hercules at that point, because that just didn't work. Like, you had Hercules punch a lion, The Rock punch a lion, and that still wasn't interesting. Oh, man. They just can't do... I don't know. Like, they got Michael Bay, and that's it. That feels like what they have. Well,
Michael Bay is pretty much printing money. So, I mean, that whole series of films just keeps...
So he's probably their only hope.
Yeah. Every Transformers movie has made more money than the one before it.
I say this, like, there's not other superstars at every other studio. Like, with Disney, it's John Lasseter. And that's just their animation side. But obviously they have like Kathleen Kennedy over in Star Wars, and they've got it's the Russo brothers for Marvel now, right?
Running Marvel, yep.
Which 100% trust those guys.
Oh yeah.
That's just me being a nerd. Let's talk television. I will have you know, I did watch Stranger Things over the week.
What did you think?
I'm very conflicted on it. I'm conflicted. It's good. It is good. But oh my God, do you guys need to back up the hype train on this thing? It's super derivative and it's fringe. It's 1980s fringe, guys. All
right. Fringe had parallel worlds that were all pretty much the same, right?
Parallel worlds. There were two that were rubbing up against each other because of the actions of an overzealous dad who was experimenting on kids to give them superpowers with their mind.
So, well, let me bring up a theory then, and this is a Stranger Things spoiler. We're not even talking about Stranger Things tonight, so I don't know why this is happening.
No, yeah.
But this is something that I read, that there's a thought that the underneath is actually the future. And that the events of what happens in Stranger Things brings about basically the end of the world. And that is a connection to the future as opposed to a direct dimension.
So it's not about 11 getting her period?
No.
Think about it. It's
a
monster that's tied to blood.
You kind of blew my mind. Like inside, you imploded my mind.
Like, it's under the case of why you don't give psychic death powers to a child is they eventually go through puberty.
That's true.
That's the moral of the story to me.
That's always been my rule.
That's what, yeah. I love how I was going to actually hit on Stranger Things a little bit because it is in the follow-up dumbness that today they just announced the GDA announcement, Stranger Things 2, which will be set in 1984, will be coming out next year. I know I'm going to watch it. I did enjoy it. It just halfway through it, I took a break and I'm just like watching it and thinking, this is Fringe. It is the exact same plot as Fringe, but there's a monster.
Right. And it's meant to be derivative. I mean, it's definitely not accidental. There's the shot, even in the first episode where what's his name? The kid who disappears goes out to the garage that is shot for shot from E.T.
Yeah. And then they have the bicycle runaway from E.T. in there as well.
Oh man, I was worried that 11 was going to make that bike fly. And at that point, I may have checked out because it was too much. But then she flipped the van over them, and that was awesome. So
see, I had seen fan art of the of them flying on the bicycle into ET Moon. I'm like, are they really going to do that? It's like I was that checked out at that point. Like that's the thing. I saw too much freaking fan art about it. Like I already knew that Barb was going to go away. Like that got spoiled. So say you just got done binging a Netflix series and you're looking for something new on Netflix. This goes for our US listeners only. Sorry, UK. Which is really odd because the show I wanted to talk about, and this is actually the dumb thing about it, is the show that I'm now hooked on for like the next, let's be honest, the next 24 hours. I'm going to be done, and I'll catch it next time around, is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. Did you hear about this one?
Yes.
Okay. For those that didn't, because there's no press on it whatsoever right now. It's just like some quick announcements, and it's the Netflix algorithm saying, well, you probably are going to like this. And yeah, duh. It's very good. It's about two magicians showing up in Napoleonic era England, and they're trying to bring magic back to England. I'm not going to give away much more than that. But it's a BBC series, and basically as soon as it went off the BBC streaming, like the contract for it to be on the BBC streaming service, as soon as that ended, it popped up on Netflix just right away with no fanfare, and it's not available on Netflix UK. There's no way to legally watch this in England right now, which is amusing to me.
Right.
In a very dark kind of way.
It'd be like if we stole Doctor Who. We're just like, haha, it's ours.
It's like, yeah, you could only watch Doctor Who streaming on American Netflix. Like, oh yes, you can have Netflix, but you can't have Doctor Who. That's exactly what it is. I mean, it's a very British story. It's weird because it's been a while since I've seen something in Napoleonic era. The last thing that I can think of off the top of my head is another BBC series, the Sharp series, which I used to love. I love me some old timey Peter Postlethwaite, and is that Sean Bean, isn't it?
I don't know. Does the character die at some point?
That's
that's usually my go-to for figuring out if it's Sean Bean.
Maybe like yeah, it's Sean Bean. There's entirely a chance that he doesn't die in that series.
Wow. I'm not familiar with that series.
It's from 1993.
Oh.
There's probably some others. I just in the corner of my eye said 93. I'm way off top. I don't want to spoil much about this, and I don't want to hype it too much. That's where I'm at. Like, I don't want to say like, hey, you have to see this. It's the best magic ever. No, it's fun. It's interesting. It's a little creepy. It's I'm worried that I haven't finished watching it, so there's a part of me that's worried like this is gonna hurt me bad, like The Magicians did, isn't it? Like that series still bothers me, like at an emotional level. What that series did to me. So I'm giving it a cautious recommendation, but I'm also saying that it's dumb that not many people get to legally watch it at the moment.
Well, there are a lot of us here in America.
Us Yankees get to watch the Brits and the French fight in the 1800s.
Right. The finest Napoleonic era adventure since Bill and Ted's.
With some nice awkward reminders of, hey, America, remember that time when the rest of the world was moving on and we were still like, hey, human trafficking is okay. That was us.
Good times. Good times.
There is actually a former slave character in the series. Yes.
Oh, all right.
Mm-hmm.
Yikes.
Yeah, just a nice reminder, which is also the BBC trying to put some diversity into a time period that they really weren't that diverse.
Yeah.
It's one of those few situations where, hey, diversity actually is historically accurate. Yeah. So you tell me, Brandon, what is dumb in TV?
Well, I'm actually going to talk about a completely different show that takes place in the early 1980s. That is AMC's Halt and Catch Fire. Have you seen Halt and Catch Fire?
I remember the title. I did not even realize this was yet another. Like, I remember some of the promotion coming for it. I have seen nothing of it. I could tell you nothing about this, and my instant reaction was, seriously, it's another show in the 80s.
Right. Well, this is the third season has just started, so this one beat Stranger Things out of the gate.
Okay.
This is basically Mad Men for nostalgic 80s nerds like myself. It's the fashion is not quite the 1950s 1960s fashion of Mad Men, but if you remember growing up in the 80s, then there are a lot of like specifically striped shirts, for instance, that you'll recognize, lots of paneled station wagons, things like that. The first season, well, what is striking about this series is that every season has been dramatically different. And I can't think of another show that's been able to pull that off, aside from The Walking Dead, which moves from season to season, from location to location. So
I could throw one at you real quick.
Go for it.
I don't think either one of us were a fan of it, but I know they pull it off very well. American Horror.
Oh yeah. I watched the first couple seasons of that, and I really enjoyed it. But this is the difference being these are all the same characters, so it's not an anthology series in that way. But they're able to pick up the core of what the show is and move it somewhere else and then let it go. And it's based, first of all, one of my favorite things about the show is that one of the stars, his first name is Scoot, and that I love that. His name is Scoot McNairy.
That made me involuntarily laugh. So
in fact, you just saw Scoot McNairy, as he was the wheelchair-bound gentleman in Batman vs. Superman who had the bomb planted on him.
Good times.
That's Scoot. And whoever thought to put Scoot in a wheelchair is a big jerk.
What's the deal with the peach tea? I still am confused by that.
Grandma's peach tea, a jar of urine?
Yeah, it definitely looks like a jar of urine. Like,
yeah, no, it is.
Yeah, okay.
So anyway, *Halt and Catch Fire*. It starts out the first season in 1983. I'll kill you.
Just call me Wilson then. Okay, fine.
Anyway, so *Halt and Catch Fire*, 1983, I believe is when it starts, and the whole first season is about Scoot and his buddy Lee Pace. Building a computer, and it is. Do you need to step away, or
I'll kill you? He just can't get it out. Like, what are you gonna do? Drive the Batmobile right into my car? Because that definitely won't murder me. Oh wait, that definitely did. Sorry.
Okay,
Scoot Lee
making a computer. It takes place in Texas, where in the beginning of computing, that was a big deal. It was referred to as the Silicon Prairie, which is where Tandy and Texas Instruments and all that came along. So you've got Scoot and Lee playing Gordon Clark, and Lee Pace's character is Joe McMillan, which is such a beautiful name for the type of character that he is. It'll make sense in a minute. Where they are basically making... I don't want to say they're making a Mac, but they're kind of making a Mac. It's very Steve Jobs in a way, but it's got its own, none of it follows actual computing history. So they work for a computer company, and they decide then to make their own machine, and it's a whole thing. And so the whole season one is them making this machine and making it work and getting it to market. And Joe McMillan is a smooth salesman with bushy eyebrows, and Gordon Clark, as played by Scoot, he's the nerdy, in the guts kind of thing. And so they're able to make this happen. So that's basically the first season. And then the second season is mainly about their lead programmer, who has gone off and started a bulletin board service. So the whole second season is basically building the early days of CompuServe. And then at the end of the second season, they all move to San Francisco. And the whole third season is now they're trying to really stake a claim in the early Silicon Valley in order to achieve sort of the same end. In some ways, one of the groups is creating eBay, and one of the other groups. Joe McMillan now has basically become Steve Jobs, but by way of antivirus software.
So a little bit of
McAfee.
Yeah. Okay.
And so, he walks around the office in like white linen pants and a black, polo shirt. And so he's very like, oh, everything's cool. But it all, as much as it derives from actual past events as far as how the computing world came about, it does it in its own way. Like Joe McMillan's arc from like bloodthirsty sales shark guy at the beginning of season 1 to Steve Jobs light here now at the beginning of season 3 makes perfect sense in the way that they've done it. And it really, each season feels like a completely different show using the same characters in a way, which is impressive that they're able to pull it off, because that seems really risky.
So what's dumb about it?
Well, there's not enough. We've just started season 3. There have been 3 episodes so far, 2 of which were shown on one night. That brings the total to 23 episodes, and we are now in season 3. So this follows the trend of these 8 to 10 to 12 episode seasons that drive me crazy. And it is good quality, and I get that it takes time and money and patience, but 10 episodes a season is not enough for me.
So about that, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell.
Oh yeah, that one's even worse. I just looked at that.
It's what is it? Seven episodes?
7 episodes.
Yeah,
and it very much follows that British the way that they do series in very small bursts, and how sometimes you don't know from one series to the next if there will be more.
Yeah,
the IT crowd was sort of notorious for that, because it would happen and then it just went away for a while, and then here's some more, and then there was one final episode. Like the whole final series is this episode. It's like, oh great, thank you.
This is the season premiere, and that's our finale.
And it's the series finale. So I get that there are economic reasons for doing that. It's Doctor Who's been doing that a lot, splitting things up into like mini micro seasons, and it's a little bit frustrating. So it's just because it feels like the season starts and then it ends. And I'm like, oh, cool. I've got like 42 more weeks until the next episode comes along. And it I don't know, it leaves me wanting more, which, as they say, is a good thing.
True. So, look at that nice burp. That was a juicy burp is what that was. That was to be edited out later. That burp was brought to you by In-N-Out. In-N-Out. Brandon can't have it.
Oh, it's so good. Oh, I miss that. I've only had it once. But
that'd be the greatest commercial out there. Like, there was actually like the Chicago Tribune did like this chart of the best burgers out there, and I think they did it just to make me angry because they purposely filtered out In-N-Out. Said, nope, sorry, can't do it. Not a national presence.
Oh, that's messed up.
Yeah.
Because that stuff is good. And you were actually there the one and only time that I've had In-N-Out.
Okay. That would have been San Francisco?
San Francisco, that's right.
That was my birthday.
We had the old In-N-Out together.
That was my birthday.
Was it?
That was.
Did I know that?
I don't know. I purposely was making my birthday one of the longest days of the year because we flew from Washington. Most of you guys flew from Washington. I flew from Baltimore. Met you guys in San Francisco. Had a layover in Carolina, so I got to have Southern, my favorite Southern food chain in Bojangles for breakfast, and then I had In-N-Out for dinner. And my birthday was 27 hours long. I was very obnoxious about it.
Nice.
Okay, that's way off topic. Probably snip that whole thing out. Okay, so I'm thinking I'm going to go Tails. That's what I'm thinking. I'm going to keep Tails for Jonathan Stranger Things and Mr. Norrell, because that's apparently the topic I went with.
Apparently.
And you'll do Heads for Halt and Catch Fire.
Yeah.
Do a little bit of alliteration there. Okay. We're flipping Tails.
Which one was that? Was that me?
Tails. That's me. No. So, Jonathan Stranger Things is dead? No, is dumb. Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell is dumb. That's what we learned there. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, let's switch topics and stop sharing that screen real quick. Yep. All right. Let's talk with what's dumb in the internet, and I'm going to go with Facebook. Surprisingly, not just Facebook in general, but
okay. I was going to say you win.
Hey, the I've got to stop arguing with people on Facebook. At some point, I need to what did me in? Like a month ago, I actually changed somebody's opinion.
Whoa. Was it me?
No.
Oh.
And it was like I actually presented the facts. I stayed calm about it. I tried doing an intelligent adult conversation, called him stupid a few times, and he was like, "Oh, you're right. Some of that's not true."
What was it about?
I can't even remember.
Wow. Okay. So
it was something borderline political. I know that much. But it wasn't like party affiliation or something like that. It was specific. It was like at a very specific topic. I think it was like it was so with me, it wasn't a gay rights thing because like with those, I don't usually even engage in those conversations. Like if you disagree with me, I think you're disagreeing with human rights, and I just unfriend you at that point. Like, no, done. If it's gosh, it wouldn't have been healthcare, because that one people are still prickly about.
Well, it's fun watching your Facebook feed because you always toss out these things like, what if everyone got the base amount of money they needed to live? And then watching the responses is interesting.
Like it was a case of like, what does everyone feel? Like what do people think about? It's this week it was universal basic income, which oddly not a lot of people wanted to argue with me about. Like I just wanted their opinions, and I didn't engage in any arguments, even though I thought some of them were wrong. Because I'm personally terrified of truckers. It's a real terror of mine. That doesn't make sense to you. U.S. has about 1 million truck drivers, and I don't see them having jobs in 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as automated trucks happen, we have 1 million truck drivers unemployed. And I honestly believe that if... I shouldn't say I'm terrified of truck drivers, because I know some truck drivers. I grew up with people that were in that type of community. And I honestly believe that that type of personality, if they're given an opportunity to do something with their life, to retrain, to pick up a new trade, yes, they're going to do that. But I also honestly believe in 20 years, there's just not going to be anything for them to do. Like they are going to be kind of filtered out of society as far as being useful. And we can try to retrain them as robot repair people, but there's only going to be so many of those jobs going around, and it's not going to be 1 million. It's not going to be anywhere near the numbers that truck driving employs. So yeah, that's me looking to the future and thinking, like, if we don't get this plan going now, we're going to kind of have Mad Max happening. Yeah. And they're the ones that know how to drive trucks. So
true. Fun fact, I always wanted to be a long haul trucker.
Always?
Since I was little, yeah. Because I was always enamored with driving and going different places and traveling in general. And then when I started driving, when I was 16 or 15, I loved it. And God, I love driving, and I will take driving somewhere over flying somewhere any day. Not because I have problems with flying, but I just really like driving. And so, as I got older, it was the same thing. It was like, I could do this for a living. I could just drive, from location to location, but there's a lot of pressure and there's a lot of danger involved. Yeah. And so the pragmatic side of me said, maybe this isn't for you.
Like it was a little bit more casual.
Yeah. It was, like if trucking was more laid back, then sure.
If you could just pull over every now and then and check things out, then yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. No, I've driven cross country a few times now, and it's been just I'm not talking about truckers. I'm talking about Facebook. Because speaking of automation and Facebook, that's actually where I was going with this. This is where it gets stupid. Is Facebook has an algorithm where they check what the trending stories are. And they have a human element in that they have a staff which has gotten in trouble because apparently the staff has a liberal bias of filtering out certain stories. So they finally just decided, you know what? Fine. Fire the staff. Let the algorithm just go. Don't watch it. Which at that point, the top stories were about how Megyn Kelly of Fox News was fired because she was a pro-Clinton traitor. This story doesn't have all the other stories that they linked. Oh gosh, I'm sorry, I clicked the wrong one. But basically, most of the stories that started trending at that point were fake.
Oh, good.
Were completely fictitious. It was absolutely delicious that, hey, because the robot doesn't know that something is being just thrown out there. And honestly...
So the algorithm is just as gullible as 3/4 of the people on my Facebook feed.
That would be correct, yes. Yeah. So yeah, Megyn Kelly being fired, which she wasn't, was the top story. I can't find the other stories, so I'm kicking myself a little bit there. I thought I was prepared. I was not. Yeah. So yeah, it boggles the mind because there are good algorithms out there. Netflix instantly jumps to mind. I still don't like. They really should stop telling us why we're going to like certain things, because everyone always makes fun of it. Like, oh, geez, I'm going to like Care Bears because I liked this stand-up special and this Joss Whedon horror movie. And then you sit down and you're like, oh, son of a bitch, I like Care Bears. Like, it just, yeah, it doesn't have to like tip its hand and tell us why we're liking it. It should just be like, yo, watch this. Just shut up, do it. And we would.
I don't know. I don't have 100% faith. When I get emails saying, hey, the Jeff Foxworthy Larry the Cable Guy special is available now, I start to think maybe it doesn't know me the way I thought it did. I thought we had something, Netflix and me.
Weirdly, it has not suggested that one to me.
Really? I'm assuming I watch a lot of stand-up on Netflix, and especially a lot of their stand-up originals. And since this one is an original, it makes sense that they're going to want to put it out there. For instance, I'm just going through my notifications from them, and they told me about this. Prior to this, they told me about Maz Jobrani's I'm Not a Terrorist, But I Play One on TV, which I intended to check out. Before that was the David Cross special, Making America Great Again, which I did watch and enjoy. Prior to that was the Funny or Die Donald Trump's Art of the Deal, the movie, which I started watching and did not finish. Prior to that,
I got to see that costume recently.
Really?
They have it on display in a glass case at the Funny or Die office.
That makes sense.
Just memorialized it.
Some of them are fine. It's almost entirely stand-up. I never realized that. Almost all of my notifications from them, except when Orange is the New Black Season 4 came out June 16th, it was like, we know. And then just like I know that when Luke Cage premieres in a couple weeks, it's going to send me a notification. Based on how fast I watch the other stuff.
Yeah. I'm curious to see if it even bothers with giving me a notification like, you've seen it already, haven't you? It's been out for 1 hour. You've seen all 10 episodes. How? Wait, it should be 13 episodes, I think, right? I don't know.
It better be.
Well, 13 has been the standard for Marvel.
No, I know, I'm kidding.
So you tell me what is dumb with the internet? Because didn't we talk about these already?
Nope.
Okay.
I don't know. Did we?
I think we talked about them, but not where they are. Like, I'm curious what the story is. You tell me.
Sure. So Amazon has their dash buttons, which we have in our home. And it has now, as of today, I guess, expanded into Germany, Austria, and the UK. And as a reminder, the dash buttons are little buttons that are tied to certain products so that, you know, if you're about to run out of diapers to change your kid, you hit the button, and depending on where you live, then you're going to get some new diapers. And there are certain areas where you can get them the same day. There are some that, you know, you'll get them within the Prime 2-day shipping or whatever. We've got it for toilet paper and paper towels, because those are the things we go through the fastest. And it gets pretty convenient. And so now it has expanded out across into Europe, and this is the first expansion that they've done at all outside of the US. So it looks like it's roughly the same price. Well, no, actually it's not. Amazon Prime subscribers on the German store get it for €4.99, and on the Amazon UK store it's £4.99. So that is a little bit different. I don't remember.
That means it's more expensive than for the UK. The euro and the dollar, last I checked, were running about 1-to-1, and courtesy of the Brexit, the pound is still fucked.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's doing this replenishment service. And so here's my caution that I will put out for our many, many listeners overseas and anyone else that's going to pick these up. They're great and they are convenient, but there's no way to track them if they disappear. So if you can't find, for instance, your button to order paper towels, it's going to wind up under something, and you're going to wind up getting lots and lots of orders of paper towels because you can't find it anymore, and someone apparently keeps stepping on it. So we have
this sounds very personal.
No. This could happen to anybody. I would say, as an example, I have a friend who can't find Smandon Smar, who cannot find his paper towel button and has stacks and stacks of paper towels in his front room because they just keep showing up. Now, you get a notification and you can say, please don't send me these. But sometimes you don't do that. So,
can we get Smandon on as a guest judge?
Sure. He's real busy right now.
It's just going to be a paper towel in front of a mic.
It's going to be a stack of paper towels in front of a mic. Let me tell you. So if anyone needs paper towels, let me know and I'll tell Smandon.
Is it actually like brawny, so we could actually like line up the brawny guy with the mic?
We could. I think it is. I'll have to check that out. We'll put that on for next week. But no, what's dumb is that there needs to be...
No, you cannot say anything other about the story is dumb other than
my friend Smandon.
Make your case.
I was just going to say, it would be nice if there were a way to reverse track these things in the same way that I can find my iPhone, for instance, by making it play a weird pinging noise. If Smandon or anyone else who has misplaced and apparently keeps stepping on the paper towel button, that would be of use.
Well, how fast does it send out the alert?
Pretty fast. I mean, you get it within a pretty quick period. But
how are you not just retracing your steps as soon as you get one of those alerts?
It's not that fast.
Okay.
So and I move around. I mean, Smandon moves around like a roadrunner. So you never know where he's been stepping, you know. So. I was referring to when I go over to his house.
Oh yeah.
His apartment. I mean, he doesn't have a house. Then he like later on that day, he's like, "You must have stepped on the button." I'm like, "Oh, Smandon," and then we send each other pictures of people high-fiving.
I just I'm just gonna send you pictures of spills for like the next week. Like, hey, got something for this?
I'm gonna make a fort.
Okay, so chaos. Judge Chaos. Judge Smandon L. Chaos.
It has a name now. Yay!
Yes, Smandon L. Chaos. That's television. We already did that. Okay, is AI how in the artificial intelligence is ruining our lives in the dumbest of ways? That's what we're looking at right now. Is the Facebook algorithm, we'll give that one heads. And then we'll give the tails to Smandon. And we will flip it right now. Flipping heads.
Good Lord.
You know what I was saying about how I do not disagree with the coin? Like, I never even question it.
I don't know. I'm starting to feel...
I question that. I question that one hard.
I'll go with it. I like it.
I don't like it. There's so much dumb in what you just told me that, man, I need to stop crying for a second. It brought my eye.
I'll give you something to cry about. Let's talk about No Man's Sky.
Yeah, well, let's do that. That's we got game. You saw me. That was. I'd like to point this out. We hit record. We hit broadcast at 7 o'clock my time. 7 p.m. Thereabouts. And well, let's be honest, we futz around and then we finally hit the broadcast button at like 7:08. But
sure.
6:50, I want to say 6:50. I'm looking through all gaming news stories, thinking about different things that I could do, thinking about what video games that I play this week: Pokemon Go, Star Wars Galaxies, and No Man's Sky. That's all I played this week. So I almost bought a new game just to like try it out. I've got some new games on my computer that are on my to-do list, and I just didn't bother. That's where it was. I was like, but this is the big story that happened this week is that, okay, there are clearly people that shouldn't be playing No Man's Sky. They're playing No Man's Sky. They did not like No Man's Sky. It's not shooty enough. It's not deadly enough. They have so many different complaints, and it's not exactly what they thought it was going to be based off of an E3 commercial, which did not claim to be gameplay. At no point are they like saying actual gameplay footage. Like they don't fully, like they're complaining that a video game, it's just so stupid. But here's the thing: Steam, you can play a game on Steam for up to 2 hours and then file a refund. Just say, I don't like this game. And they will, no questions asked, give you that refund. Some people are arguing that they didn't realize the repetitive nature of No Man's Sky. And yes, if you just grind one thing over and over again, it's a very dull game. Like if you're focused just on, I need to get a 48 slot ship, a 48 slot inventory, and a 24 slot multi-tool. If that's all you're doing, it's super dull. If you're racing to the center of the galaxy, yeah, that part of the end game sucks. I'm not gonna lie, that part is just like, ugh, don't even bother. If you're just poking around planets, finding animals, poking them with a stick, I don't need to defend the game that part. There are people who like the game, and I last week was talking about how people need to get over this. But this is something now that's bugging me on the people that hate the game and started wanting refunds for it, started complaining, because that seems to be their main complaint, is that this is not a $60 game for them. And I get that. That makes sense. I don't know why they thought the need to buy it on day one.
Because of the hype.
Because of the hype. Like and they don't want to admit that they were wrong for believing hype. Right. And like if you fall into a hype train like that, that's you. Like don't buy games day one unless you are dead positive what you're getting into. And like for me, No Man's Sky, I was dead positive what I was getting into. I got exactly what I wanted. I've had no complaints about my purchase. I know other people that they're the same way. Like, yeah, I paid $60 for this. I'm enjoying the hell out of it. I've already put 60 hours on it. Done. There are people though that have put 50 hours on it and have filed for refunds. 50 hours, and they filed for a refund.
That seems like you've gotten their money's worth, I guess, at that point, right?
At that point, you're basically saying that my $1 an hour for entertainment, too much. That's what they're saying. Like this game only held my attention, or maybe they were playing it ironically for 50 hours.
They were hate playing.
They were hate playing. Just like they were waiting for, I don't know what. Like, the dumbest thing about this too is that legally, I don't think Hello Games has to even care about this. Neither does Steam. They could just blow it off. Yeah. And they're actually okaying the refunds. Like,
really?
Like, you know what? Fine. Get out of here. Like, they don't... And I kind of like that mentality from Hello Games' point. Like, you're toxic. Stop playing my game. And let us focus on actually adding things into the game. That seems to be... Because they haven't stopped supporting the game. They're already 7 different patches in at this point. Little tinkers here and there. And I fully believe... Okay, I will be mad if this game comes out with downloadable content. But if they just give things back into the game, which probably were part of the original design, I'm going to be ecstatic. And if it stays exactly as it is, that's how I'm going to play it.
Well, he said, Sean Murray said that they intended to add stuff over time, and that it would be at no cost. But then, in a more recent interview, said that they were exploring a cost model for downloadable content.
Yeah,
and that made people mad again. Like they was like, I already paid for this stupid game that I've only played for more than a work week.
Yeah, 60-hour, 50-hour players, and
which is terrible. But
like, it entertain me.
Right, but that's with a game like that's so expansive, like being able to spend $3 on a super cool new ship seems legit to me. Like that makes sense. I would love to see things get integrated in at no cost via patches like they have been doing. But in terms of broadening the equipment and the ships and things like that, sure.
If you gave me like a freighter type ship, a massive ship that I could park multiple ships of my own on, I just lose $5 at that point. Like definitely the DLC for that. Really quick, I'm gonna have to take a 5-minute timeout. Okay. I'll be right back.
All right.
I have to poo.
I assumed you didn't have to say it live on the internet, but okay. Hey everybody, this is Brandon J. Carr, coming to you live from my office. Thankfully, Darren, who has just left us, did not take his microphone with him, as he is apparently going to have a poo. I will talk some about Steam, since that's something that Darren brought up as part of his further rants regarding No Man's Sky. One thing that I discovered today, and I'll be talking about this in the future, so this is a little sneak peek into upcoming stuff. Sierra today, I think, announced that they're putting up their whole old games catalog on Steam. And if you're not familiar with those games, they are some of the best point-and-click adventures that you will ever find. And this Sierra is what led to things like Telltale Games, and they do Minecraft Story Mode, and they did a Bone game, and Sam and Max Hit the Road, I think was through Telltale, or maybe it's through Sierra. Who knows? Anyway, Sierra has released all of this stuff it's coming rather to Steam, which I am pretty excited about. And right now they're doing it through Humble Bundle, where they're doing all their Police Quest games, the Gabriel Knight games. Those are the re-releases, but they're doing more. They're doing the King's Quest games, Space Quest, a lot of that through, Sierra Humble Bundle is doing it on the cheap. And if I'd known I was going to be talking about this by myself for a while, here we go. So if you go to humblebundle.com/Sierra-bundle, you'll see that for $1 more, you get the Space Quest collection. And Space Quest was a lot of fun because it was all about a space janitor and his wacky adventures. Phantasmagoria 1 and 2, which were horror puzzle games, I think. The Police Quest collection, where you played as a police officer. Shiftlings, which I don't recall. Then at the next level, the average of 12.73, you get Arcanum of Steamworks and Magic Obscura, which sounds interesting. Time Shift, Quest for Glory, which was... Gosh, I don't remember Quest for Glory. I think that was Heroes Quest initially was the name of that. And then Gabriel Knight, 1 through 3. Then if you pay $15 or more, you get Caesar 3 and 4, which looks like a world-building sim kind of thing. Geometry Wars, which is a lot of fun. The King's Quest Collection, which is all 7 games of King's Quest, which is such a fun series. And then Velocity 2X, I don't know what that is. Then, if you pay $20 or more, you get King's Quest, the complete collection, including 5 chapters and epilogue. It's very exciting. I'm probably going to be picking this up at some point because it's available for the next 2 weeks. And we'll talk about it then. Okay. So anyway, that's another reason that Darren is the worst. So, yeah.
How much am I going to actually have to listen through that?
You can chop it out. I was talking about the old Sierra games are on Steam now. And there's a Humble Bundle for it. So you can get all the old Space Quests and King's Quests and some of my favorite games that have ever been out ever are now available.
Is the Dark Half on that as well?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay, so not all the old Sierra games, but
no, yeah, but there are lots of like the Phantasmagoria and Quest for Glory, stuff like that.
I need to find like a let's play, a live. Is it a let's play or a live play?
Let's play.
A let's play of somebody playing the Dark Half, the Sierra point and click, Stephen King book / video game.
I had no idea that existed.
To just figure out where the hell, how does the game how does it finish? Because I'm relatively sure that game failed quality assurance. And because I exhausted every option up at a certain point, and I could get the game to glitch to show me what it looks like the next day, but I could never get to the next day.
One assumes it ends like the book, with the bad half being taken away, and then the good half surviving.
It stops right about when the bad half forces the good half to write in the secret room. That's where it, like, the bad half doesn't even show up when the game starts glitching.
Weird.
Yeah,
that's a weird. That's a weird book to make a point and click game out of.
It was weird, and I've to this day, I got to be honest, I've never actually even read The Dark Half. I just want to know how this game finishes. I could just read the book.
It is a good one. It is a good book.
Yeah. But that's not what we're talking about. We are talking about gaming.
We are, but I was giving a little sneak peek because I'm probably going to get this Humble Bundle, and I'll be talking about these Sierra games.
Talk about these old Sierra. Okay, I'll go through my Humble Bundle and go through the games that are on there, and I'll start reviewing those in gaming. I got to do that.
Oh, that'll be fun. We could do like a whole gaming episode where we could talk about all these, because I've been getting a bunch of stuff on Steam that I just don't care about. I just
want to milk this for like as long as I can, especially since what's his name? Not Overwatch, but the other Overwatch, Battleborn.
Battleborn. Yeah.
I actually have Battleborn. Like, I was thinking I probably should get this. It was in the last Humble Bundle.
Oh wow!
So all right, I scooped it up, and I still haven't played it yet. So apparently, that tells you how much I wanted to play that game.
Yeah, that's not a good commercial for them.
I got distracted by Pokemon Go, and
they understand.
Okay, you tell me what's dumb in gaming.
Sure, World of Warcraft is back. They just launched Legion, which is the newest expansion that popped up within the last 24 hours, I think. It went live just before midnight last night, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, it went live 10 minutes earlier than it was expected to. And part of the problem that had happened with the previous Warlords of Draenor expansion was that basically there were a lot of people online, and it all happened at the same time, and it clogged up the servers and everything went crazy. Then there was a DDoS attack at the same time. So the Warlords launch was not great. However, the Legion expansion went very smoothly for a few reasons. One, they had the server capacity ready to go, which, duh. But also, what happened was, if you were in the game when the expansion went online, then a little bird flew down to you with a message, and that message led you to the new expansion areas. And you had to go talk to an NPC and get a quest. And the quests were different for each player based on their class and their race, which meant that instead of everyone going into one area and jamming up that part of the server, everyone spread out, which was pretty smart from a server point of view. And apparently it went very, very smoothly, which I've never heard when it comes to a World of Warcraft expansion. Now, full disclosure, I don't play World of Warcraft. I have not played it since 2003. I want to say it was sometime within the first couple of years. I was in I had a 30-day free trial. I spent some of that time just killing spiders over and over again, because that's what you do when you start playing World of Warcraft. And then I got tired of it after, I think I got to maybe level 10, 8, I don't know. Something where I was beyond beginner, but not high enough to really do anything else. And I got bored, so I started messing with level 1s by leading them into caves with big monsters and then dropping out of the game. which was
a terrible person is what
it was. It was a jerky move. I didn't do it. I think I did it like twice, but I got a kick out of it. But it never. I knew that it was one of those things where I knew that if I really got into it, there would be no crawling back out. So I decided to goof around and then let my account expire, or my free time expire, which is for the best. I have gone out and met people in the world. I've left my home, which who knows, I may not have done in the last 12 years if I had continued playing.
Yeah, I was an EverQuest player.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I've always got that weird, like, sort of, I guess, MMO hipster to me, I guess.
Well, now EverQuest was a lot earlier, and I remember my roommate.
EverQuest 2 ran parallel to World of Warcraft.
Oh, okay. So my roommate in like 99 had EverQuest, and it was weird because that was really kind of the first MMO experience, and it was so glitchy. And it was so bizarre. And I was watching him play like, why is this fun? And I never got it. EverQuest 2 made sense to me, and World of Warcraft made sense to me. But that first EverQuest, it was basically like The Sims, but you had swords, which actually sounds pretty awesome.
Well, there's also push a button, get a cookie. That's what it ultimately gets down to, is that all three of these games, the thing they had in common was as you advance in the later set of the game, all you're basically doing is rolling over and over again on a loot table to get something shiny, and then try to collect it all. And it basically rewards you with failure. That's how this game works. Nice. Like, that's the actual psychology of it, is that it teaches you to enjoy losing over and over. Like, and so when you do succeed in getting that shiny thing that you wanted, the endorphin rush is huge.
Yeah. So here's what's dumb about it, because they've had a good expansion. This game has been going through ups and downs, but mostly nonstop for 12 years now. How is this not on consoles? I don't understand why especially as we see more co-op games happening, and we see things that are close to MMOs happening on consoles. Why is this not happening, and in a cross-platform kind of way? Because that would be, can you imagine how big the audience would jump up if you could just get people who don't want to sit in front of their computers? No, you're shaking your head. You disagree.
I think that I think they were smart keeping it on computers. As it is, I've seen some computer games try to move over. I am just, the burps are huge tonight. I've seen some of those games try to jump over, and with the MMO, with the RPG side of it, the role-playing element of it, you get more immersed into it when you're using the keyboard and doing that situation of talking. If I think about the normal chat room experience that I get talking to people while playing games online through the console, it's not very fun. I don't need to know that about my mother. No. It's just, that's what it is. There's a difference there between being forced to type and also having like role play specific servers too. Like, right. Yeah. I'm surprised Blizzard finally has a platform game that works in Overwatch.
Right.
But I'm trying to think, like, they've tried moving things to platform before, right? Like, I think maybe StarCraft or Warcraft, not World of, but actual Warcraft. And
maybe it strikes me as odd, because you have these devices that are dedicated gaming machines, right? That, as opposed to where computers started turning into gaming machines, now gaming machines are starting to turn into computers, like people watching Netflix and Hulu and things like that. But at its core, it's a gaming device.
Yeah, so it's just like the interface, like with the mouse and keyboard, is something very unique that works very well for the MMO.
Sure.
Like, okay, because like, I'm thinking, like, I used to be a druid, so I was the healer for my party when we would go out, and all of my F keys, all 12 of them, were assigned different spells that needed to be used at different points. Letters, whatnot, that was ready to go for chatting with the group. Numbers had something else. It was like gear swap, things like that. Like there were so many inputs that are needed for those games. I had one member of my guild. He got a special mouse that is designed to help handicapped people use the internet more effectively, just so that you can load macros into it.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess
there's not enough buttons, is what I'm saying.
It's more hardcore to. Yeah. Okay. No, that makes sense. All right. Well, then I have nothing to say about gaming and what's dumb.
Well, I say that it's dumb that it's still around. I'm sorry, but
well, it's weird that it's still around. Like I do think it's odd, but you know what? They survived the addition of Panda Warriors, so it's never going away.
Yeah, I'm trying to find like art from it, and
well, they added Demon Hunters, and they look really cool.
It's mostly box art, is what they're showing right now. There's not a lot of stuff showing the game itself.
Well, I did see. I saw an advanced Let's Play that some people were doing of Legion about a week ago, that because they got early access, and it looks. I mean, it looks like World of Warcraft. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, but the new Demon Hunter class looks really cool. There's a lot more customization you can do now than you could 12 years ago, obviously, in terms of like tattoos and body configuration, and I don't know. I think as long as they keep innovating, it makes sense. But I'm still. They're innovating. You can do tattoos. But I still think it's odd that there is no component at all that crosses over to consoles.
Okay. Yeah, and I could agree. Like maybe there could be like a console-like version of that where it's, a character that you build up and play in a multiplayer situation. Like there's like you could it would be a different game, I think. I don't know if cross-platform would work. But maybe we'll see. Anyhow, we'll give that one tails because there are things with tails in it.
Sure.
And we will give heads to No Man's Sky 50-hour refunds. And we're going to flip this right now. It's flipping. And tails. World of Warcraft. And not being available on consoles. Are you going to say the Wii?
No.
The Wii U?
No.
I like that. I would love it if that was the actual... No, because it's I personally can't play it.
No, here's why. Because the only multiplayer, like online multiplayer game that we have for the Wii U is Splatoon, and it's you may as well just be playing against the computer because there's no actual interaction with other players. Which, because my son is 13, I'm okay with. But that's it. Like you kind of start these matches with whoever. Like you can't even specifically join up with certain people without a certain degree of luck. And so if that's the tops for the Wii U's multiplayer, then I don't know. Build it into the NX.
Okay. All right. Let me start the clock here. We're on the etc. portion of this, and I found something that was delightfully dumb that I had to grab and say yes. There was an MCA inter-office memo dated October 17th, 1984. Sent to a Mr. Steven Spielberg about a movie that he was working on. Do you know what movie it says in the show notes?
Yeah, I already know.
It's Back to the Future. Right. So this is at the script phase. So they still have what's his name as Marty. They probably still have a lot of nuclear war references in it at this point. So there are things in the script that are going to get noted and, in my opinion, correctly fixed. But this one just cracked me up because this is a case of, sometimes the studio executives just need to change things just to change things. I feel that's what that is.
Oh, yeah.
And he was talking about how it's the Columbia version of the draft and the title and what was hanging him up about this movie at the time called Back to the Future was... And yes, that's actually the title they use, spoiler. But he was hung up on the title. Because I continue to believe the title leaves much to be desired. There are a number of reasons why I found this title less than, quote-unquote, wonderful. But my primary concern is that it appears to make the picture a genre picture. I think the script and hopefully the film deserve a better title. Now that I have buttered you up, I would suggest we consider the title Spaceman from Pluto. Underpinning these suggestions are the following thoughts. Modify the dialogue on page 35 so Sherman calls Marty a spaceman from Pluto. Modify Marty's dialogue on page 77 that he identifies him as a spaceman from planet Pluto instead of Darth Vader from Vulcan. And change the title of the book written by George and referred to on page 130 from A Match Made in Space to Spaceman from Pluto. I'm sure there will be those who argue that the movie will appear to the audience to be a cheap, old-fashioned sci-fi flick. Nonsense. I think it's kind of the title that says... I think it's a kind of title that has heat, originality, and projects fun. Most importantly, I think it avoids the feeling of a genre time travel movie.
What?
Heaven forbid Back to the Future be a genre time travel movie.
Sure, and nothing steers away from a movie appearing to be genre like the title Spaceman from Pluto.
Yeah. It's like, don't make it look like a genre time travel movie. Make it look like oh no, actually no. The more you say it, the more I feel that it's projecting some heat.
Oh yeah, I'm getting quite warm.
Yes, I don't even want to name this executive. I'll let him be anonymous on this one because wow, that was stupid. Like when I'm reading this menu, when I was looking at this menu. Apparently, I'm hungry. When I was looking at this memo, I was definitely thinking, like, damn, I'm betting he wishes that. And actually, here's the thing. Like, I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm betting he wishes that this would just go away. Whereas I'm also thinking about the general Hollywood industry type. He's probably still dead convinced that, nope, Spaceman from Pluto was the better version.
Right.
Like, his way would have been better.
I could see that.
Yeah, I could see that. You tell me what's dumb.
Let me ask you, are you familiar with HD 164595?
I have no clue what that is, and I've been resisting Googling it all day today because I don't want to be spoiled. I want to be virgin of this HD.
Oh, well, let me slide this information into you gently. The HD 164595 is a G-type star located in the constellation of Hercules, which is about 94.4 light years from here. Now, what is interesting about this star is that it is the same stellar classification as our sun, has a similar temperature, it has a lower metallicity, but it is basically our sun with a different metallic composition. So here's what's notable about it. On May 15th, a brief single radio signal at 11 gigahertz was observed in the direction of HD 164595 by a team led by N.N. Bursov at a radio observatory in Russia, which may be a terrestrial radio frequency or possibly gravitational lensing from a more distant source. What some people are saying is that there is a planet orbiting HD 164595, and the signal was either sent out in a multi-directional pattern, which would take a tremendous amount of energy, or it was specifically fired in the direction of Earth.
I actually was familiar with the story. Now that you're talking about it, I know this is the one that SETI was taking a look at, right?
Yes, SETI was taking a look into it. So here's the problem. You know why I know there's nothing to this? Because we know about it.
I was going to suggest because you read the news today.
No. Oh, did they do it? No,
yeah, today. It's already...
Oh, it's already been. Oh, great. All right. Well, cool. Yeah. So, well, I mean, the thought was the reason that we didn't hear about it for so long is for a few reasons. One, because it was located by a Russian space agency, by this one team at one telescope, which gave it a Rio scale score of 1, which is insignificant, or 2, low. Also, it may have there was some speculation that it could be an isotropic beacon. However, SETI is just like, it's probably nothing. And the only reason we heard about it is because the people who in Russia were kind of baffled by it, and papers started shifting around, behind the scenes, like, hey, buddy, look at this. I need your input. And it wound up getting into the public eye, which again led me to believe that there was nothing to it. Of course, now that the news broke and it was immediately being shut down as like, oh, no, it's nothing, guys. now I start to think maybe there is something to it. But there's been a lot of space news, actually.
So there's a little bit of tinfoil hat, is what you're saying.
Oh, yeah, totally.
That's what's going on. Spoiler alert, it turned out that it was a terrestrial radio station signal.
Right. But was
ours.
Oh, okay.
Ours, yes. It was, we heard our own fart. That's what we did, ladies and gentlemen. We also definitely had the super clickbaity headline for this one. That's why I wasn't super familiar with it, because I looked at that headline. The headline made me think, no. The headline was, "This is not a drill. SETI basically it was like, this is not a drill. SETI is doing what it always does."
Yeah, exactly. They're looking into something.
Technically, yeah, it's not a drill, but it's also basically what they would call Tuesday. Yeah. That's all it was, guys. It was Tuesday.
Yeah.
Hey. Yeah. No, tons of space news. We found another exoplanet, right?
Proxima B.
Yeah.
Yes, Proxima Centauri B is an exoplanet orbiting within the habitable zone of the red dwarf star Proxima Centauri, which is our closest star, which means that if there is a chance of a habitable exoplanet, this one is the closest. Like, there's nothing else lurking out there. If it is there, it is our absolute closest twinish planet. And I was reading all sorts of fun stuff about this in terms of the atmosphere. It actually doesn't revolve. So it rotates like our moon does. So it has one side that's always facing the sun. And so the thought is, well, you can't have water in a situation like that. But there is speculation that the water actually travels in a circle around the face of the planet, and that it wobbles like Westeros, so that the seasons do change, even though it doesn't spin around. And in fact, no, I'm not done, because I was reading a lot about this the other day, and this is all of this is speculation. But they're saying that based on what they think the composition is of the atmosphere, that as opposed to having a blue sky like we do, it would have a sky that is oranges and purples, and that the plant life would grow to be a crimson red instead of green, which is very No Man's Sky, I think.
Yes, it is. I've definitely been on that planet.
Right.
It looks a lot like other planets I've been on, not gonna lie. But you don't know exactly how that planet's going to try to kill you. That's the fun part for me.
Sure.
I was going to go with Ryloth. They're sounding a lot like Ryloth, which this is letting one of my deep nerd cards show. For those that don't know, that is the planet that Bib Fortuna and other Twi'leks from the Star Wars universe are from. Yes.
Thank you for saying Twi'lek, by the way, because that seems to be a point of contention among nerds, and I've always thought of it as Twi'lek. But then I've heard people say Twi'lek or Twi'lek, and it always rings wrong.
I know there's somewhere in the extended universe where they actually just say Twi'lek.
Yeah.
Like,
well, it happened on, I think it's like Rebels. I think they refer to it on or Clone Wars or something.
Either Rebels or Clone Wars, because there are Twi'leks in that. It's the same thing with AT-ATs.
Yes, thank you.
You know that one? Like, AT-AT is actually the correct term for those things.
Right.
Like, yes, I get that it's spelled AT-AT, but it's also a military organization, and they do that shit all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're sharing the coin here. We're looking at this. Back to the Future, getting notes. We will give that one tails. And HD, this is not a drill. 164595. That gets heads. Let's flip. Heads.
Woohoo!
HD, this is not a drill. 164595.
Just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
Is dumb. Yes. Okay. So let's recap real quick. We've decided that Batman versus Superman is dumb. I'm willing to bet we decided it was dumb the first time too.
Yep, probably.
Because you know what? It's dumb. So, okay, they get Wonder Woman right. Congratulations. Except she doesn't have an invisible jet. Come on, guys. That's not a hard thing to add in there. It's fun.
Well, how do you know?
Damn it. I've got nothing on that one. Murder Batman is a serious problem here. I like Ben Affleck. I like the idea of him being Batman. But here's the thing that nobody warned me about. Like, I knew about him being on a murder spree. I didn't realize he was worse than a murderer in this movie. Batman does CrossFit.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Well, and that's what was so unrealistic about it.
Wait, is that CrossFit or is that P90?
I don't know. Either way, it was
I think it's
unrealistic.
CrossFit.
He never mentioned it. So
yes, that was super weird.
Yeah.
Like, he's not shutting up about that. Yeah.
I'm sure the Bat blog is all about it.
Like the fact that Alfred apparently hates him in this movie. Like, there's definitely some hatred that made perfect sense.
That could be why. That could be why.
Just shut up about your goddamn tire. Just shut up about it. Like, why don't you get in shape by punching crazy people? Okay. Batman versus Superman is dumb. Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell is dumb. Watch it before the hype makes you hate it. Facebook's algorithm is dumb. World of Warcraft is dumb. And HD, this is not a drill. 164595 is dumb. Sounds like that's our call letters right now. You're listening to 5 Dumb Things on HD 164595. Caller, this is not a drill. Follow-up dumbness. I spoiled it earlier. By the way, do you like my title suggestion? What I think they should call
Things, Turn Your Head and Cough, coming in 2017. I like it.
Stranger Things, Turn Your Head and Cough. Because that's my idea. Is like, if like the first season is all about female puberty, then why wouldn't it be male puberty? Just like weird monsters suddenly spurting hair in weird places and getting really intensely aggro, and then like distracted.
Yeah. This is. Yeah, you nailed it, man.
I really disturbed you with the fact of pointing out that it's an entire series of the horror of menstruation.
I don't know. I got to think about it. Let's talk about this again. No, you know what? Let's never talk about this again. And
so you're just gonna barb the whole discussion? Is that what you're saying? Just never talk about it. Like, hey, she's dead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, the better part about the other thing about that is like the sheriff is like so obsessed about it. He kind of gives a little bit of a fuck about Barb. Her parents totally blow her off.
Oh yeah. There
are other people dying in this series that we don't even talk about.
Who?
Diner guy getting shot in the head.
They talked about it. He didn't have any family or anything. I don't know. I just made that up.
You made that up. You made that. How dare you?
They specifically mentioned that no one cared about him except the sheriff.
Like, all those workers on that base that just like are just getting constantly murdered.
Well, yeah, that was interesting because you have to assume that at least some of those people live in the town.
Exactly.
It's not just people who like commute from DC to Indiana.
It seems like a bit of a brutal commute otherwise. Like, why are they not recognizing any of those people? That felt weird to me. That was the stranger thing. Yeah. Like, because you do small towns where they have Manhattan Project-esque things, and yeah. Well, they would live on base, maybe? I don't know.
I didn't see any indication of barracks, so it would all have to be in the same building, which, I mean, we know that the kids lived there, the test subjects. Right. But yeah, I don't think so. Maybe, I mean, there may be more levels to that we have. I mean, not thematically, but as a building, it may have had more levels that we were not aware of. Or maybe they all lived in the upside down.
And they're just like, every time you see them when they're like exploring the gate, they're just like, they're coming out of it. Right. Like, oh man, that commute, it's murder. Straight up murder, Barb in the face murder.
Poor Barb.
Okay, what do we have for shameless plugs? What do we got?
My new series, Stranger Things Series 2, or Season 2, will be premiering on Netflix next year.
Turn your head and cough.
Yes.
Let's see. I'm going to shamelessly plug cosplay comedy. This is me going off the cusp because I forgot to write notes on it. I will be doing a show at the Long Beach Comic Con. It's being put on with a bunch of other comics. This is not something I'm producing. I'm just invited to be a comic on the show and do a routine as a character in cosplay. I'm very tempted to like also do a 5 Dumb Things as this character as well.
Really?
That might be fun.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Does that mean I have to do a character too? Because I don't.
I almost think
I hate doing characters.
Just none of that acting business.
Ugh, yuck.
You know what? Can we get Schmanden to do it?
I don't know. I'll have to see if he's available. I'll have to dig him out from his mountain of paper towels. You know what? Actually, that's a good idea for a Halloween episode.
We should Schmanden and Voldemort?
Sure. Or I could be something interesting.
A paper towel mummy.
A paper towel. Where will I find? I'll have to borrow some from Schmanden.
Either that or just go walk around his house until you have enough. That's apparently what you have to do there.
Apparently.
Oh my gosh. Chaos, our judge, Schmanden L. Chaos. He's got a pretty big plug coming up. He's got the November election cycle coming up. So lots of chaos there. And I just damn it. The show notes just got edited to make sure we know it is Schmanden L. Chaos.
It's important. We don't want to forget.
Next week, we will have adult supervision. We have Rochelle Meese coming in, and fun times. We're going to figure out whether or not I'm able to pronounce her name correctly. Rochelle is actually my co-host on the Friday late night mic at Flappers now. I am like 0 for 7 in saying her name correctly. I'm a terrible person.
No, that's great.
Yes.
How you pay attention to other people. That's nice.
I get a Weiss gets in there, so she becomes Rochelle Weiss a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And just my brain can't unwire that. It's very rude.
You should write it on your hand or on an audience member.
I write it on a little piece of paper and I bring it up on stage and I still screw it up.
That's awful.
It's terrible.
Maybe you shouldn't be hosting a show.
The weird thing is I get everybody else's name right except the one that I know I'm going to have to call every single night. So it's interesting. It's fun. But she's a great comic, so she will judge us and realize just how terrible we are. Schmanden will be the only one left unscathed. So, ladies and gentlemen, for Brandon J. Carr and Schmanden L. Chaos, I've been Darren J. Gendron, and we've been really...
so close.
No. Hey, guys, don't forget to follow and like and comment and rate us and download things from iTunes and Stitcher. That's where you could find other episodes of this podcast. And for Brandon J. Carr and guest judge Schmanden L. Chaos, I've been Darren J. Gendron, and we've been really, really dumb.